Hey guys, it is Ryan Fowler. Welcome to Inner Game Group Live every Saturday at this time with my good friend Jordan Kurtz. Tim is joining us, and we weren't on last week because no one can make it. That happens sometimes. Tim is joining us. He'll just be a few minutes late, but we have really good show today. I was kind of thinking, yeah, I like this Brendon Burchard guy, which we covered last time. Maybe we try someone new. But then I watched the rest of the interview, and he hit on some really, really core stuff about being true to your core self, and people who aren't have so many problems. And it used to be me. A lot of people think they have to be something that they're not. They go after what everyone else tells them they should do or want instead of what they actually want. Like, I'm not talking just simple pleasures. I'm talking at a deep soul level, what you really want to do in life. And he touches on that and a lot of other stuff. And so it's going to be a really good show today. But before we get started with that, Jordan, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself.
I'm Jordan Kurtz. I'm back. I'm not sick. I'm not traveling. So that's two good things. Feeling better. My hair's a little long. I had to keep kicking my haircut down the road because I couldn't leave the house. So, but yeah, I'm a hypnotist. Yeah. I do the hypnosis things that we all do and love. Ryan, your audio sounded good today. I don't know if you've been making changes to your studio, but
it's just my mic. But thank you. This is my fourth mic, though. The first three weren't that great, so I kept going until I found one that worked. So thanks, Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any particular thoughts on that. So you covered this 2 weeks ago?
Well, we covered part one of this interview. It's Lewis Howes School of Greatness interviewing Brendon Burchard. And Brendon Burchard, interesting guy. He's pretty much a world famous mentor and kind of a life coach. Kind of like a Tony Robbins-ish, but he doesn't have like the big stadiums full of people or anything. And he has 4 clients who are billionaires, and he charges them $1 million a year to give them coaching advice. And he meets with them, I think, once a week, weekly calls. And he's written several best-selling books. I think it's like 17. And his first book, I believe, was I think his very first book was a #1 New York Times bestseller, just went straight to the top. So, interesting guy. And when I first listened to him, I was thinking, he sounds just a little too smooth. It just a little, maybe too much of an actor type. But the more I listen to him, the more I'm like, no, this is absolutely 100% legit. He uses a little different terminology, takes things from a slightly different angle than us, but his stuff is absolutely rock solid. And of course we have, and just Tim told me in the green room, so time to add Tim. All right, yeah. Tim's window,
I got him.
Yeah, we couldn't see it, we had to scroll down. All right, here's Tim. Hey Tim, how you doing? And so, welcome to the show, Tim. Introduce yourself, my man.
Thank you. I am Tim with TimCostelloHypnosis.com. And I do the same thing Jordan and Ryan do, and that is free the people from the prison of their minds. And I really like the topic that we're doing today because it's solid. And like Ryan said, use a couple of different words, but it's all the same stuff. Good stuff. Take it away.
Thank you, Tim. And the topics today is, he's going to talk a little bit first about the #1 trait of billionaires, which is worth listening to. And I feel we have something to bring to the table. We always, these other luminaries or coaches or psychologists or doctors or whoever they may be, they always say a lot of good stuff, and then we say, okay, now here's what's going on in your subconscious. And that's the value that we bring, is we kind of tie the two together and then give our own perspective, of course. And so we're going to be able to do that today. But what he starts getting into, being into alignment, I mean, it sounds kind of like a fancy woohoo term. Like, what does that even mean, being in alignment? But it's really just being your authentic self and going after what you want and not letting other people define you, and making sure you are true to that and connected with what's in you. A lot of people aren't even connected to what's in them, and they have huge problems. So going to be a good discussion today. Let's go ahead and dive in. It's at the 13th.
Hey, Ryan, let me add just a hair to that. There is a huge industry of self-help gurus and information.
Yeah.
And you can start with way back in the days of Nightingale Conant and all the guys that had the psychology of sales, the psychology of selling, and Brian Tracy, and just many great, Dale Carnegie, wonderful people, a lot of great advice. But most people seeking that advice, and I say not a huge, maybe 60, 70%, have some internal things going on that even though they get all whipped up during the conference, like Tony Robbins, man, you come out of a Tony Robbins place, you feel like you could tear down the world.
A lot of great advice. But
I
knew you were gonna do that.
If you're still struggling with anxiety, procrastination, depression, even though you cognitively recognize all that information as valid and fantastic, you have a hard time engaging because, like Ryan said, how's your subconscious? How is that subconscious aligned with your authentic self? So you're probably going to spend a lot of money, buy a lot of books, tapes, records, CDs, online stuff, etc., and then you're probably not going to use it. My wife is the perfect example of getting into many multi-level marketing, exciting things that she could have made go true, but she couldn't pull the trigger despite all of the factual and wonderful information that was provided to her. She used to tell me, I could see myself on stage accepting the award, but she couldn't get out of gate one. So with her subconscious realigned to be her true authentic self, she more and more is becoming a beast. And it is fun to watch.
Yeah, and you told me like every day there's something she says, like it's like wow, or what is it? She's saying like
she just sitting on the couch. I'll come out of my office because I work from home, and I'll look at her. She goes, you know what? I love feeling like this. I said, what do you mean? I just feel good. I go, yeah, that's joy. That's knowing how good you actually are and how much you're worth. And you know it to your core.
Yeah, so I did a session maybe a couple of years ago for your wife, got her unstuck so she could start her business, which she tried to do 20 times and always had a panic attack on opening day, or, just got overwhelmed with anxiety and stopped. I did a session 2 years ago, and now she's unstuck and started her business and tripled her income. Is that about right? Would you say
that is
and
it.
For our audience, on my website, RyanFowlerSOS.com, we're a few days away from putting up a wall of client interviews and testimonials. I have 40. We're starting out with like 26, and I'll get the other 14 up shortly thereafter. And Carrie's one of them. So I put she tripled her income on that. So it's good thing that's accurate. But you did another session for maybe like a month ago.
That's correct.
And just a big shift.
It is a huge shift. It was
just a huge shift.
Yeah. What happens with your subconscious is if there's one trauma that's overwhelming you and you clear that trauma, you're pretty good for a while.
Yeah.
But there is more underlying trauma that as we peel the onion,
layers of the onion get peeled off.
Now we've got rid of another big trauma that was hiding in the bushes, and now she's just tearing it up even more.
That's awesome. Yeah, so what we want our audience to know is we're about to play this clip. We won't delay it much longer. What we do is all this good stuff people talk about, we get anything blocking it out of you, and then we get the good stuff in you. And it's the neuroscientists researched and found out you could do this, and hypnotists were about 80-90% of the way there already. And they found out in the 1990s you can do this, and we do it. And so, yeah, we actually get it in your core. So now it's in you, and you can act. It's not just a nice idea floating in your head, but then you have all this internal resistance and other issues holding you back. It's actually in your core, and you're congruent to it. You're in alignment to us, as we're going to discuss today. So let's go ahead and bring up that clip, please, Jordan. Brendon Burchard, 4 billionaire clients, #1 New York Times bestselling author multiple times over. And here we go. He's going to start talking about a trait of these billionaires, and then he's going to get into being in alignment, true to yourself, etc., at a deep level. Go ahead.
You said 1320.
1320.
The lesson I had to learn.
Thank you.
I actively coach 4 billionaires. And so these are people I talk to every week. It's $1 million a year. I had to work up to that. I was the broke kid 3 miles from here. We'll tell that story. But the one thing that I learned from them, that it's actually maybe everyone knew it, but I didn't. Their #1 trait is assertiveness.
Assertiveness?
Yeah. They assert themselves into situations because they believe they'll figure it out.
So they'll believe before they see.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
just checking.
confidence.
Oh, just
Yeah, exactly what you said.
maybe not
Confidence.
today, I'll figure it out. Maybe not tomorrow, but one day I'll figure it out.
That's confidence.
Oh.
Confidence is I believe in my ability to figure things out. Confidence is not perfection. It is I'll get in motion, I'll figure it out. And so you if you want to change the world, you have to assert yourself into the world. You can't be a passive person. You have to have high agency.
You need main
And they just
character
assert-
energy.
Like most problems I would look at and I'm like, oh God, they're like, I guess we have to do it. Jeff Bezos says that what made Amazon so successful was that they made decisions with only 60% of the information. That you're never going to have it. We have we have enough, go and then learn and find it out. It's that most people, they think they need to have 100% before they go. And we've been all wronged in our industry for a long time. We had a lot of people in our industry selling certainty, right? You need to be certain. You have to be certain. And that's been wrong because people who are certain tend to be stubborn. And people who are certain stop being curious.
You need to be flexible too.
You need to be flexible, adaptive, and curious. And if you are truly flexible, adaptive, and curious, you actually go into problems more easily because you're like, let's see how this. You're curious. Let's see how this is going to turn out.
And a failure isn't meaning they're a failure.
Yeah, they're not attaching to identity.
Yeah.
And that's what Wayne Dyer was talking about. Your references that if you put whatever you attach I am to, be very careful, right? I am a loser. I am not as smart. I am a bad dancer. I am a bad dancer.
It's a belief.
It's a belief. I do have. Can I interrupt?
If I can dance, you can dance.
I want to show in a minute. Don't pull it yet, guys. He doesn't know I'm going to do this. The first time Lewis and I were on stage together,
wow.
You remember he said he judged me? Because I was so happy in my content, people don't believe it's real. They're like, he can't actually be that happy. I'm like, no, actually, the wealth of my life is I learned to be happy, not make money. I learned to be happy. That's the greatest teaching of my life.
Your whole tagline is bring the joy.
Bring the joy. Bring the joy. Bring the joy.
I want to ask you a question about thinking, because I think thinking is very important in how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive the world.
Okay, let's pause right there.
What's more important?
I just want to comment that like everything he just said is what I'm kind of going through and doing right now. And so I'm building a new program right now. It's not ready yet. It's very close to being ready, which is a hypnosis and coaching program for salespeople. And the reason I did that, and I'm going to add some to what he just said. The reason I did that is, I probably helped 600-700 people over the last 7 years, which is when I started doing this for others. Found it for myself 13 years ago. And, helped a ton of people, and just maybe a dozen of them were dedicated salespeople. There's a lot of people who are actually kind of halfway salespeople. I'm starting to realize, I talked to a CEO and he closes $100 million deals. Well, he's a salesperson. He's closing those deals. But anyways, out of these dozen like dedicated salespeople, I would do sessions for them, and they would all see huge increases in their sales afterwards. And Jordan, you know what I'm talking about, because I happened to your guy. You had a guy as an HVAC sales guy, and you know your format's a little different. You do shorter sessions, I do longer ones. But you did 3 sessions for him, and what happened to his sales?
I believe that he 10x'd.
10x, and I had a guy 9x
from 10,000 a month to 100,000.
Yeah. So so based on, you know, the guys who we actually track their sales, like we didn't track all the sales of all these dozen or whatever people I did sales for, but the ones we tracked, they all saw just like huge improvement. I would say the worst case was like doubled. And so maybe we probably track like 6 or 7 or 8. And based on that, I decided to go to this SOS for Sales program, and no one's doing it. No one's doing hypnosis for salespeople that I can find. Maybe someone out there is. And you just kind of jump off. And, you know, I moved to Mexico City 2 years ago. Been to Mexico once before, did a lot of research. I tried to visit Mexico City before, but I had a back injury. So it was my first time in Mexico City, just jump off, go there. But of course, research before. And it's been a huge learning experience. I've learned so much because my old business, I marketed and I brought in I was probably top 5% income, sometimes even higher with my old job. But the way of marketing this is night and day difference. Like social media, night and day, like all the ways you market and all the things you got to do and learn to do what we're doing and to scale it up is completely different. And it's just figure it out. And when we do hypnosis for people, like we're not delusional. There's a lot of delusional, like you hear all these women saying I'm a 10 and they're absolutely not a 10. Like people feeling they're entitled to stuff just by breathing and existing without doing the work. We're not like that at all. So when we do hypnosis for people, we don't put in their brain, oh, you're amazing, you have so much skill and ability and you could do anything. We don't put that in you, but we literally put in what this guy talks about, which is if you don't have the power now, you can get the power. You can learn, you can grow, and the more you do anything, the better you get until you get enough skill to get whatever you want. You just got it. You got to keep going, keep learning, keep growing till you're there. Maybe it takes you 10 years to get there. Maybe it takes you 2 weeks. But keep going and you will get there. And that's what and now go after what you want. Go on your path, put one foot in front of the other. That means you do take action. You go on the path you want and you do assert yourself into the world. And I don't know if my new program is going to work. I think it's going to work, but I don't know. And when I moved to Mexico City, did a bunch of research. I was in Mexico before, but I hadn't been to this part of it. I didn't know. So there's something to be said for doing what you can to find out. And yeah, once you're at about 60%, take that leap of faith. And here's the thing. You may try out 10 things and 9 things don't work out. But the one thing that does gives you big success, it's worth it. You know, Thomas Edison, 1,000 failed experiments before he invented the light bulb. So you research things out. We don't eat paint. We don't do stuff that's obviously overly risky or stupid, or, you know, you think it out, you plan it out, but you won't get to 100%. At that point, you go out, you learn, you grow, you adapt, you get better. If it doesn't work out, then you pivot. I've had people accuse me of shiny object syndrome. I've had like 2 people. And it's like, dude, I've been doing hypnosis for 7 years, but I pivoted to, you know, this new market, and I'm still helping people in general. It's like, no, it's adapting. It's being flexible. It's going where the opportunities are. And I will say, if you put yourself out in the world like this, you will have naysayers. You will have you will have tons of people giving you bad advice who don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's okay. A lot of those people who don't know what they're talking about, they will have a little nugget of wisdom that is worth listening to. So you don't throw all their advice out, but you you'll take some of their advice that actually turns out to be bad advice. You find out. One of the greatest things I've learned in the last 2 years is how to tell a good consultant who's really competent from a bad consultant who's going to lead me astray. So get on that process. And what this guy says is absolutely true. You get to about 60% and then you figure the rest out. Failure does not define your value. Failure is learning and growing. And that is literally the mindset of billionaires. Think about that. You guys have anything to add, or we just keep going?
Jordan, you got anything? I got a few things, but you can go first if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I got 2 comments from what he was saying, Mr. Brendon. One is, having been at Amazon for 2 years and experiencing their environment, what he says is almost true. When the risk is low in the cost, or the risk to money is low, then you pull that 60% and you go for it, because you'll figure out the rest, or you can easily retreat, costing you almost nothing. Case in point, I was at OKC one, which is a 2.5 million square foot fulfillment center, and I reoriented the whole inbound process. And I was probably 85% correct. But when we jumped in there and we put my plan right together at the beginning of the shift, we only made a couple of tweaks here and there to get that to about 95%. But if it didn't work, I could easily resort to the old one, which was easily to put in place. Now, Amazon doesn't do everything at 60%. They do many things at 100% or 95% because the risk to the business is high.
I agree, Tim.
Yeah, so they don't shift it real fast. They actually, do that kind of thing. Now, the other thing he said was Wayne Dyer, great.
Wayne Dyer is the man, rest in peace.
He says, be careful what you attach the words I am to. And a lot of times we focus on the failure part, like I am a failure. No, you're not a failure. You're simply a person with tremendous value and worth experiencing a failure.
Yeah.
That's
You're
a different mindset.
buddy.
But you also don't attach to it, I am a success. No, you're a person with great worth and value now experiencing success because you figured it out. And that's
very, very important.
Yeah, because if you say I am a success and you're not a success, then
when
you
you
am
do
a failure.
fail.
Right. So it's neither one of those. You're not a failure. You're a person with tremendous value and worth and capacity and growth potential, but you're never a failure or success. You simply experience those things because of the things you do. So I wanted people not to brush over that, but to really capture that idea, because that's a different mindset shift to most of the things you see in the public forum.
Yeah, there's 5 core belief systems that are tied to our core identity. And one of them is you have inherent value just for who you are. The other is you can get what you want. Doesn't mean you get it right away. You may have to do a lot of hard work, but you can learn and grow and progress until you get it. They are not the same thing. And so many people conflate getting what they want with their value, and it causes so much self-sabotage and procrastination, because they're like, here's what I want. If I don't get it, I'm a total piece of crap. If I try and don't get it, that means I'm worthless. And so they avoid going after it because they don't want to find out that I failed and therefore I am a piece of crap. It causes massive procrastination, massive self-sabotage, just like all the time. So yeah, everything this guy says is great. And again, what we do is we actually get it in your core. We feel at a deep root level. What's really interesting about these 2 beliefs, though, which is number 1, inherent value, intrinsic value, and then number 2, you can get what you want, but you may have to work really hard, but you can do it, you can learn, you can grow, is actually the mom in a healthy family environment. The mom gives you the first, the dad gives you the other one. The mom gives you unconditional love. You're a child and your mom is just, loving you unconditionally, nurturing you. Your mom's more influential when, the younger years. And then as a child grows up and develops, then the dad introduces discipline and listen, I need to prepare you to go out and be successful in the real world so you can survive, so you can support a family, or if it's a girl, be a good mother, have good careers, all that stuff. And both are very important, but they are two separate things. Never conflate your value with whatever success you're having at the moment, because success comes, it goes up, it goes down. And people who achieve success, when their value is tied to it, they're like, great, I achieved this success, but I still don't quite feel good enough. So now I need more success. And they get on this endless loop of chasing endless success to try and be good enough, not realizing it's not going to rewire these subconscious programs in them saying they're not enough.
Right.
And it just gets them on this endless rat race hamster wheel. And some of them get massive success, and they're like, I still feel like I'm worthless, even though I have massive success. And that is Marilyn Monroe, Robin Williams, Kurt Cobain, all self-deleted, all had massive. They had everything you think they could ever want, still self-deleted. So, yeah.
You know, to add to that, Ryan,
yeah,
Scotty Scheffler, who is a world-famous golfer, having won 2 Masters so far and a PGA championship, and he's leading in the British Open right now. Somebody asked him about winning the Masters, and he says, no big deal. You know, it's the chase and the journey to get to the winning the Masters that's the most experience, because he goes, great, I won the Masters. He says that feeling lasts for about 10 minutes, and then what's for dinner?
Yeah.
Right? Because what's important to him isn't the title, it's his family. It's what's next, right? He's got a great mindset of a true champion because he's just going to go play. He's not defeating himself on the course like many other self-doubters are. He's got the real focus.
Positive growth mindset. Okay, we'll keep going unless you have something to add, Jordan. Go ahead.
I've got, a couple of things. Just so this whole, I've been thinking a lot about this, like, you make decisions with only 60% of the knowledge. And so instantly the engineer in me goes, well, how are you measuring how much knowledge you have? And how, like, he doesn't provide an example for how he's actually doing that. And I think what he's trying to say, I think that number 60% might be arbitrary. I think what he's more trying to say is
it's a rough guesstimate number.
Well, I think what he's trying to say is that he's trying to say that he's confident enough in himself that even if they take a step forward, they'll be able to figure it out as they go along, versus kind of having this analysis paralysis, not wanting to fail ever. They're willing to take that step forward even if they fail, because that's still taking the step forward still gives you information on how to pivot in one way or the other. And I think that's really what he's saying. I mean, you can't make all of your decisions lacking all the information, but I think his point in saying that is if you're willing to fail enough times, you can learn a lot faster. It's like the SpaceX model, right? They've put up, 5 or 6 or 7, or I don't know. I don't study SpaceX, but they've put up a lot more rockets.
They've had a lot blow up. They've had a lot blow up.
Right. But that faster iteration process has gotten them a lot further to where, you can have the rocket comes down and they can catch it. And because they're not afraid of failure, they know they're going to have X amount of rockets blow up. They expect that to happen in order to learn, okay, how do we make one that doesn't blow up?
Yeah.
And I think that's the mindset that they're talking about there. And, a personal example for me, I've been working with somebody, just like Ryan, I have my own mentors, and I'm working with somebody to help understand like lead generation and marketing. And the examples of people that I'm kind of trying to emulate are people who I know are making more money than me, and yet they are the presentation. Their content that they're making is full of mistakes. There's full of like typos, and they don't look professional. But I'm like, clearly they're making more, like they know something I don't. They're
Yeah.
doing well. And so for me, it's been a kind of a bit of tug of war in my own head going, I need to do what works, but I also, I can't, it's hard for me to want to present something that's only 60%. Like if I present all these typos and errors in this thing, like that's my presentation. And yet they're doing that, not caring and still making more money. And so it's been a total like identity shift I'm having to make of having to let go of some of those tight, like needing things to be perfect beliefs. And it's very much a struggle. And so I'm having to like shift what I think of as important, you know, what's actually most important versus what I thought was important. And that's hard to do.
Entrepreneurship is tough.
You know, it's hard.
So he used the wrong word in reference to Amazon. It's not knowledge, because you know how the system works. It's your guesstimate for what you want to change and what you think you'll achieve, and then tweaks from there. So, like I said, there are some big things at Amazon that are nearly 100% when they engage them, because the risk is huge. But when the risk is low and you can revert quickly, 60, 80% is fantastic of figuring out a solution. And then you'll tweak from there. So you're on the money. And, you know, Ryan and I had a really good conversation, Jordan, about perfectionism. There's really nothing wrong with perfectionism, as long within that perfectionism, you prioritize what needs to be perfect and what can wait a minute.
Yeah.
Right. So
we talked
overall,
yesterday on that.
Yeah. If there's a person in the world who thinks everything has to be perfect, and we've met them, right? We deal with them and we communicate with them, and they're very annoying because they don't prioritize everything, right? Yes, the TV should sit this angle to somebody when they're doing it, but if it's off 2 degrees, who cares?
Yeah.
Right. That's not that important. Now, when you're cooking something and you can't leave a steak on the grill for 35 minutes on one side and expect a medium rare steak, right? So you got to have some perfection somewhere, right? Gordon Ramsay doesn't settle for less. So that was a really good conversation Ryan and I had, because it hit on my brain. Yeah, it's all about prioritization. Just like you said, Jordan, you know, you got to shift a little bit, figure out what matters, figure out what doesn't, and move on. Because I know your engineer brain. I work with lots of engineers. I am not an engineer. So I get them.
Well,
yeah, the mindset of the engineer, like your engineer mindset is fantastic for engineering, but entrepreneur mindset is completely different. And I've had to adapt somewhat. You're having to adapt a lot more, because my last job was entrepreneurial, but also required a high degree of precision. So I was kind of like halfway there, but yeah, I totally get it.
Oh yeah.
And also for our audience, I will say, yes, you do still have to weigh risks, mitigate risks, use your best judgment. Some things you do need to be close to 100%. So when I moved to Mexico City, well, guess what? I had enough savings to live for 5-6 years with no income. So, you know, when I'm phasing out my old consulting gig, which I still do a little, but mostly phased it out. Phase that out for this new thing. It's like, yeah, I still look at all the angles. Okay, what if it takes longer than expected to ramp this up and make money, et cetera, et cetera? You know, so, you know, don't be reckless. It is a bit of a balancing act, but at the same time, if you're taking forever, and you're really not moving forward because of that, you know, at some point you got to take that leap of faith and just trust that you'll be able to learn, grow, be flexible, adapt, pivot. You can do it. And if it doesn't work out, my first business failed, second one succeeded, and then here I am like 20 years later. And, you know, this was a few years ago, I had my dream car, 911 Turbo, which is awesome, by the way. And I had friends comment, they're like, oh, I wish I had your job. And it's like, well, I created it from nothing. And I actually failed the first time. And that sucked.
Right.
I was dead. I got a car repossessed. I couldn't pay rent and had to move back in with my parents. But it's worth it. If you have that mindset of, I really want to go for it, it's worth the failures and the struggle, because you learn a lot. I learned a massive amount from my first failed business that led to my second one succeeding. And this one, honestly, this one's succeeding too. It's ramping up slowly, but it's succeeding too. Business is coming in. It's profitable. So, it's all good. So I guess back to the clip now. A lot of good fire advice from this guy.
My thinking was that, and then I'll go to the clip, it was that I can't change how I think, because I think like an engineer, but I can change how I apply that thinking. And like you said, prioritization over perfectionism is the real key, because I'm really good at analyzing systems and catching details. And if I can apply that correctly versus just trying to change it, I think that's a better approach. And
I agree.
I'm working on it for now.
Yeah, you don't want to throw your strengths out the window. Just make sure they're applied correctly.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
Important to our success or our abundance is it thinking more positive thoughts or thinking less negative thoughts?
Success will always be way more about your behaviors than your thoughts, because a lot of the thoughts I have suck during the day, but I still get what is necessary done. Daily prioritized action versus daily good feeling is often the thing we don't crack till later.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we do have to have thought. By the way, I don't want to, I'm going to come back and reverse.
Yeah, but if you achieve the results,
you have to have good thoughts.
And you don't,
we think.
Yeah. If you achieve it, but you still don't accept yourself, are you going to feel good?
Yeah. Let me share this. Instead of thinking, let's use a different word. Alignment. The goal is to get in alignment with your higher energies and your higher form of being.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to be in alignment with who you are and what you're really meant to do, the path you are uniquely supposed to be on. And when you take the steps, and it is steps, a lot of those steps, you're going to have doubts. Your thoughts are actually going to suck. And they just are. They're really going to suck. And you're going to be unsure for a long time. But when you're unsure for a long time, you need to be aligning.
Uh-huh.
And if you will make the game about aligning ever more closely to your higher state of being, ever more closely to your higher state of consciousness, ever so closely to your true nature, ever so closely to the proper path that is unique and primary and important for you, every nudge and alignment, it's going to improve the thoughts, because you're going to have a sense of integrity and character now. And it is in aligning to the actions and the path that is unique and true to your human nature and your real powers that the thoughts start getting better. They start clearing. It's actions of integrity that start making the mind come into alignment with greater strength. And so I tell people all the time, achievement isn't your problem. Lots of people can do things, and thinking isn't necessarily a problem, because a lot of people overthink and they got plenty of thoughts and they're very positive. I mean, I know a lot of people in our industry, they're the most positive thinkers of all time. They are law of attraction gurus. And I'm like, do something. Just do. But do the thing that is in alignment. If you can listen, if you get in alignment, you are granted a bigger assignment. And when you get greater alignment, greater assignment is given to you, and then greater abundance is the result.
Yeah.
You don't start with abundance. No, you start with alignment. And abundance is an outcome. And once that switches in your head, then it's like, wait, I can do that. Because I don't know if we want to go over here, but I in college had a girl who broke up with me. I've shared it on your podcast before, but
let's pause right there just real
suicidal
quick.
ideation.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes. So my comment there, number one, we can give people a massive boost towards getting in alignment. He's talking about three things. He's talking about your cognitive thoughts. He's talking about core identity, which is like this deep down deep down core subconscious beliefs. That's what we work with. And then he's talking about actually taking action that is congruent with that core identity. Now, what a lot of people do is you can slowly rewire parts of your subconscious mind over time. Now, people who have a lot of subconscious trauma, that can interfere with this progress and keep them stuck and blocked. So you got to remove the blocks. But a lot of people who don't have blocks that are too significant, maybe they have some moderate level bad subconscious programs, but it's not like they had a massively horrible, traumatic, abusive childhood. They can slowly make progress over time. It's repetition over time. Correct repetition will slowly rewire your subconscious. Again, unless you have these internal blocks, and some people can never get off the launch pad with those blocks. We remove that. But you can, that's literal neuroplasticity. Over a long period of time, you literally can rewire parts of your subconscious, or you can just do a big chunk all at once, like what we did for Carrie. I did this for myself. Within 3 years, my income tripled. It's not a coincidence that happened. And I've seen it over and over again. I'm not guaranteeing this for anyone who does sessions with us, but I've had many people double their income, triple their income, some 10x their income. It's not a guarantee, but it happens a lot. It happened for Carrie, Tim's wife. So when he's talking about alignment, he really is talking about what you feel deep down inside for you. And he's saying, connect with that, embrace that, accept that for who you are, and listen to it. And what it is telling you, take action accordingly that is congruent for that. And that will lead you on a path of a ton of growth, a ton of challenge. We're not saying this path is easy, but it's the best path to take. I put in my clients, there's no greatness without adversity, but you're not on the path of adversity. You're on the path of greatness where all adversity is meant to be overcome. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. The more you do anything, the better you get until you get enough skill to get what you want. So one thing I want to emphasize is no one can tell you what your path is. No one can tell you what path you should take, what you want at your core, what's right for you. That's you. Connect to that, find that, and then follow it. And if there's internal blocks in the way, get rid of them. And then the good stuff in you that pushes you forward, amplify it. And that's all subconscious core stuff that we work with. But there's so many people, I thought if I become a doctor, then, it's like 70% of doctors, 70% of attorneys hate their jobs. But society is like, well,
you're a doctor.
You're a doctor. I had a date with a doctor last night. There's a doctor here in Mexico. She works 7 days a week. She's tired. She does sometimes her longest shifts are 48 hours. And it's like she works, she sleeps for 4 hours at the hospital, gets back up, finishes the shift. And maybe she loves that. Maybe that is her path. We only had one date so far. I'm sure there'll be another one. She's a nice girl. But there's so many people that do what they think. Everyone's going to love me if I do this. Society will accept me. And then they get into a job they hate. And yeah, okay, you're making $300,000 a year, but you hate it. You're miserable. No, not worth it. If your path is to become a surfer, if that's really what's true to you and that's really what connects with you, and maybe you become a world-class surfer and, successful that way. Well, if that truly is your path, go for it. Don't let anyone to the contrary tell you, anything else. What a lot of people do though, is their subconscious, their core identity is so much, I'm not enough. They start looking for the things that will make them enough. And that's what gives them off their path. Because there's so many things the world says make you enough. You go after it, you get it, it doesn't work. Or you don't get it and you feel like a failure. So get all that toxic shame out of the way. That's what we do. And then find out who you are if you don't already know. Meditation, self-hypnosis, going inward. Again, we have a process for that. and then hold to that and take action in your life that is congruent with that. That's alignment. That's what he's talking about. Any comments, guys?
Yeah. So my hesitation with the words that he's using here, and let me tell you a little story.
Okay.
In 1986 or 7, almost 40 years ago, I was becoming involved with a group called Amway.
Oh boy.
And yeah, this was a bunch of products. And as a young sailor, right, I've been in the Navy 6 years, always looking for more money, always looking to hustle and make a buck kind of thing. We made a little bit of money at it, but I drove all the way across the Strait of Washington from Bangor, Washington, all the way to Spokane, Washington, to attend this worldwide Dream Builders rally. And they brought in Tony Robbins to speak to everybody and all that kind of stuff. And I left there all pumped up. But they use these very generic words that I didn't really know. And I'm a very concrete guy. I don't do a lot of guessing. I don't do a lot of abstract thinking. I'm not that creative kind of thing. You give me something to operate, I will operate the crap out of that thing. And it will work like a son of a gun, right? That's what I do. That's where my strength is. So when he uses this word alignment, everybody in the audience is going, oh, yeah, I got to get aligned. Oh, let me go see. What am I aligned with? And, so it's this generic thing that nobody knows what it means. So
yeah, it kind of sounds sexy, but it's like, what do you mean alignment?
Freaking awesome. It sounds fantastic. You're like, man, I got to go get aligned. Woo, let's go. Right.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you go,
what is that?
What does that mean? So
that's part of why we have to pause and comment to explain in adequate depth what the hell these guys are talking about, because they do oftentimes use kind of.
So if there are 5 categories of subconscious trauma that hold you back, there are also 5 categories that also, if you are aligned properly to, will launch you forward.
Optimal core beliefs.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So those 5 categories are: 1, I'm not good enough. So the opposite would be, damn it, I am good enough. And I know it to my core. The second one is, I don't belong. So if you don't belong to anything and you get down to your core and you learn to love yourself, you now, at a minimum, belong solidly to yourself. And then you can move forward. Number 3 is the knowledge that you can't get what you want, or if you get it, and by when I say knowledge, that's core belief, right?
All core belief, yeah.
Right, all core beliefs. So if you think you can't get what you want, and if you did get it, you don't deserve it, that is a core belief deep down. So the opposite is true when you're aligned. 1 is you can get what you want. And 2, when you get it, you'll be freaking happy as nuts, right? Number 4 is rage, resentment, or anger that is really deep down. And sometimes you don't think you're angry at something, but deep down, you really got some resentment going on.
Yeah.
The opposite is true. If you clear out that rage, resentment, and anger, it's not there.
Forgiveness.
You've got nothing holding you back. You don't blame anybody else. You're just solidly within yourself, a solid core human being. And finally, feeling unsafe or insecure, right? The opposite is true. If you feel safe and secure, boom, you're aligned. So knowing you're good enough, knowing you belong, know you can get what you want, no rage, resentment, or anger, and feeling safe and secure, you are now aligned to proceed forward and receive the abundance that your authentic self wants to get. And you may all of a sudden go, oh, I'd rather be an artist on the shores of Seattle, painting paintings and selling them in the market. And you'd be happy as a pig in mud. So you just get, not tomorrow, but you'd get a process going, here's what I really want to do. That's what the alignment that he's talking about. Getting truly in touch with your core beliefs, truly in touch to get rid of all the toxic shame and rage, resentment, and anger and moving forward. So
Yeah.
I get pretty excited about this topic because I don't like the generic terms, although I love the generic terms.
Yeah. Now, Tim, I'll bring back a little bit of what you said. Say someone does want to be this artist, but then they look at it and they say, man, I may not make a lot of money for a long time. So I'm going to have a day job.
Yep.
And I'm going to do this on the side and build it up until it makes enough money. And that's where we're talking about chasing your dreams, being true to yourself, but we still have to deal in reality. And like I said, when I moved to Mexico, I had 5-6 years worth of savings. I had done a ton of research. You know, I still didn't completely get rid of my old job, still had some income coming from that, you know, so we do mitigate risks. We do, if it's like, you know, it's like you're a skydiver, they have a backup chute. They'll have someone else check their chute to make sure they packed it properly. So, you know, you still have to deal in reality. But with that said, don't hold back. Go for it. You know, go for it in an intelligent manner where you're hedging your bets, but go for it. Do take action.
My comment to that, Ryan, is at least you have a plan of where you want to go.
Yeah. And yeah, once it's set up, go out and learn and grow. And you don't need to get to 100% because in a lot of things you won't. Some things you can get 100% certainty beforehand. A lot of things you can't. So don't let that hold you back. All right, moving on.
I like that he's talking about like the action versus just the thoughts. Is like he's like, these people are super positive, and he's like, well, do something. And I find,
well, why don't they? That's a good question. Why don't they do something?
That's exactly right.
Because just thinking happy thoughts is not enough. That's why.
And darn it, people like me.
Yeah, I think they get into this like I almost think that can be a prison of itself, where it's like I have to think happy thoughts. I have to think, otherwise things are gonna fall apart. Or
they're not being true to themselves. And he said you will have doubts. You will be unsure. I've been living that for 2 years. I've had tons of doubts and unsurety, but deep down in my core, it's like, this is me. This is worth doing. I'm freaking going for it.
Right, and because your actions are aligning with your beliefs. You take actions that align with your beliefs, regardless of necessarily how you feel. Sometimes you might. I mean, certainly, I know Ryan has felt the same things I have. Like sometimes you're like, is this ever gonna work? Like, am I just wasting my time and money here? And then you get a client who 10x's their sales or more, and you're like, this is the best thing. This is awesome. So,
dude, how many hundreds of lives have we? I've had at least 10 people tell me they would have killed themselves if they didn't do a session.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're like, you saved my life. That's why we do it, man. Right.
No, I absolutely agree. But if I listen to those like highs and lows, I think sometimes that can knock you off the path, because you can't be chasing only highs, but because then the lows really hurt, right? And so it's like, all right, the steady, like, nope, this is a good idea. The logic is there, because like when the emotions fade, the underlying logic of what you're doing stays, centered. And so if you keep following that, I think that's what I've been, at the end of the day, that's what I think keeps pushing me forward, is my belief that this stuff works.
Yeah. There is opposition in all things. You'll experience failure and you'll experience success.
These the people who are super positive and don't take action, I have a couple observations. Number one, some of the time they're pretending, because no one can be super positive 24/7. So they pretend sometimes to fill in the gaps. Number two, if they're super positive, but they're not taking action, that's showing you that there's something in their core that's off, in their core subconscious belief system. And that's not being in alignment. So where alignment makes sense is, you say all these great things and you profess all these great things, but then your actions don't match. That's being out of alignment. And what people need to understand is, if you get your core subconscious right, one of the ways you know that it's right and healthy and healed is your actions are going to be different. They're going to be better. my income went up, almost tripled within 3 years, so that is a natural outgrowth of getting my core straight. And so merely there's so many people think happy thoughts or pretend to be a certain way. If their actions and behavior is not matching that, then I guarantee you there's something in their subconscious that's screwed up, that they are not facing, that they're running away from. And sometimes people cope with trauma in their subconscious by putting on this mask, by putting on this fake persona of happy, positive, etc., where deep down they're hurting. So fix that core and you will be in alignment.
Or worse, like, I'm not even allowed to feel negative. That's
exactly.
Right.
And that's these super positive people. They're going to be pretending some of the time because that's not realistic. It's fake. You can't feel positive 100% of the time.
Yes. I know in my mom's family, there was this air of like, oh, just sit down and shut up and put a smile on your face. Like, pretend everything's okay.
Yeah.
Pretend to be like, just be positive no matter what.
Suck it up.
And then you're dying inside.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Then
and that's torture.
Right.
Yeah,
and then the
with
positivity
people
becomes
like
an act. It's not real. It's just we need to just maintain this arbitrary level so that other people think that our family is healthy, right? And
exactly,
it's just not reality.
Putting on the airs.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep going on here.
Yeah.
And I became depressed. And
back up just a second so you get context here.
It sent me into suicidal ideation. We want to go over here, but I in college had a girl who broke up with me. I've shared it on your podcast before, but it sent me into suicidal ideation, and I became depressed. And sometimes you can't think yourself out of depression. You have to have small daily victories of integrity, and it helps decrease that feeling. It doesn't fix it. It doesn't resolve it. Just like doubt doesn't go away. Sometimes negative feelings aren't going to go away. I do like the idea that we can think these negative things less. But the reason we think them less isn't because we do a mind warp on ourselves and we go, I'm thinking less of this awful thing I really do feel about myself. It's not. I did some good today. I said I was going to shower and I showered. I said I was going to go to the gym and I went to the gym. I said I was going to call my mom. I called my mom. I said I was going to write the first page and I wrote the first page. And it's these small acts of integrity that improves our thoughts more than wishing our thoughts were different thoughts and could be better thoughts and could be replaced with thoughts. And so I think alignment now I'm going to come back and reverse myself. We're in alignment in our thoughts and our behaviors. But sometimes shifting behavior can be a little easier to start cleaning up the thoughts.
Yeah. It's being our word to ourselves over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. That sense of integrity.
Doing what I say I'm going to do for myself every day.
Yeah.
And that will help to create more belief because you're now in alignment with what you say and do.
Yeah.
It's matching.
And I think you're in alignment. Like I said, there's alignment you have to get to because you have an assignment. And you can't see the assignment. Lewis, I've known him a long time. A decade ago, if we were talking, you wouldn't see this as the assignment yet, right? He had to go through things and discover things and Lewis has become more of his best self. And I've watched it and I really honor it because I just so you know, I'm not geeking on it. I just told him this in the green room today. It's been awesome to watch as a friend.
Thanks, brother.
What you have
pause
become.
real quick.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's like genuine. Look at that. That's like genuine. I don't know, joy. Just acknowledgement of his soul's growth. That's genuine connection right there between those two. That is freaking awesome.
They are buddies.
And yeah, you should try and minimize negative thoughts and, have more positive thoughts, but acknowledge that, when you do feel things inside, you don't suppress it, run away from it, like negative things. you go in and heal it, or you talk to a friend, but you don't just pave it over, So one thing I like that he said is he talks about giving himself credit for the good things he did throughout the day. I do that every day. Man, I did a good job here. I did a good job there. So you should try and be positive. You should try to have thoughts where you give yourself credit, appreciate yourself, look at the good in life, etc. But there's still going to be some negative stuff cropping up, and you don't run away from that. You don't suppress it. You don't pretend it's not there. You can reframe it if you want, but don't ignore it and pretend you don't have those negative thoughts, because everyone has them to some degree. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. That's okay.
What?
Yeah, I know you guys think I'm perfect, but I sometimes think because I do these sessions for my clients, and I massively, change lives. And again, it's the technique. It's not that I'm some savior or something. It's I've discovered a technique that Jordan learned, that Tim learned. I've had 10 of my clients become hypnotherapists. It's crazy, but so it's something that's reproducible. And sometimes I'm wondering, the way people express gratitude after, it's wait a second, I'm way better than I used to be. My core is so much better than I used to be. But it's I still got flaws, guys. Trust me. So, anyways.
Stop it now.
Yeah.
And I think there's also,
we're just way better humans with a much better core.
I think that having a sort of resilience within you, knowing that negative things are going to happen, and knowing that you can also
handle
with that. So, but if your default mode is just to try and shove negative feelings away versus how do I deal with this and how do I manage, or what's the right Ryan likes,
then you're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to the fact that stuff is coming up.
Yep.
And I think you actually end up with less negativity in your life if you have developed the confidence that no matter what happens, I will be okay. I will be able to handle myself. And so that having that belief probably, I think, moves your baseline higher in general, because you're I know that I'm going to fluctuate, but I know that I'll be able to handle it, rather than having these really high highs and really low lows. And so I think we talked about alignment. I think alignment is also having that belief, no matter what happens, I'll be okay, and I can protect myself.
Okay.
I can tell you though, with good alignment, good solid alignment, less negative things will happen to you. But as you're living,
your life does get way better.
Life gets in the way. What's that, Ryan?
Life does get way better, but I right after this show, I can walk across the street, get hit by a bus. It can happen.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Or they may be out of your favorite cookie at the store.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff happens, but you won't react to it badly.
Yeah. And actually they've done research, and people who don't suppress emotions and express who they really are actually have a much lower chance of getting cancer. Or what they found out is the chance of getting cancer is 70% higher for those who suppress emotions. There's scientific research data on this. Dr. Gabor Mate talks about it in his book, When the Body Says No. Doesn't mean emotionally healthy persons can't get cancer. Stuff can happen. Yep. So, but overall, you're doing way better. And it does, oftentimes less bad things happen, and your overall life is better when your core is better. But at the same time, when our core is better, we may then go after challenges that make things more challenging. Right. But that's our choice, and that's living a life of purpose and meaning. And overall, it is way better. Trust me.
The reason it seems things happen less worse to you is that you now no longer react to the things that you did prior. They're diminished. Always challenges will be there, and that's why we're living.
Yeah.
I was I was
I
actually
guess
thinking
we're
about
not
my
going to get too much more.
Life is massively better, but there's still challenges.
Yep.
I was thinking about my grandma too, and like and her resilience, because she just had her 80th birthday in June, and she was talking about how as a kid she had polio, she survived that. She also had breast cancer, she survived that, and she was in a major car accident which put her in the hospital for 3 months because she was on the highway and a piece of wood got in her tire, and she did multiple flips. And
Oh, damn.
but
Dang.
she's she's 80 years old. Her family has really good genetics, and she's like, and she's still very positive every day. I think that, and being around her, because I'm around her, she's in a different state, so I'm not around her all the time, but she has a very positive, and she still works, and she has a very positive outlook on life. She's like, there's still things I want to do. I want to be part of this group. I want to, she plays ukulele. She's very involved in life. And I think that watching that, because she has all the excuses she could make in the world of all this stuff happened to me, but she's still kind of, I think, again, her core identity is like, no, I'm still going to live life the way I want. And so I
The
think
body
it's
keeps
kind of,
the score.
Yeah.
yeah.
Good for
Yep.
her.
Yep. You want to keep going, or we're at an hour?
It's at the hour mark. Any final thoughts, guys?
How far did we get? We started at 13,
5
20.
minutes.
We got 7 minutes through, or 7 minutes.
Good stuff.
Well, we'll never be accused of just like, copying other people's stuff. We really do
our show,
fall
damn
within
it.
fair use. We're using it and commenting on it. So,
Absolutely.
But appreciate you guys. Any final thoughts?
No,
pretty
sir.
much
I've
done,
said them
but-
all.
We
No.
covered what we wanted to cover, which is talking about being true to yourself, being in alignment, and then going out and taking action. And if your core is good, listen, Google it right now. What percent of our behavior is determined by our subconscious? It comes up 90%, 95%. And so the number one way to be in alignment is get your subconscious belief systems good. And then you will take action that is in alignment with that. It's a natural, when your deep down core belief system is good, it is a natural outgrowth of that to then behave in alignment with these core beliefs that are now in you. Get the bad out, get the good in. It changes everything. Yeah. Anything else, guys?
No, sir.
No.
Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, Carrie, we fixed her subconscious, and then she started the business and kept going. So behavior follows. It is in alignment with your core beliefs.
Yep.
So fix those core beliefs, get them great. And you guys can do it. We got the free program. We got a free self-hypnosis course, RyanFowlerSOS.com /. Well, there's approach, but there's also just, sorry, that's the wrong one. There's two here. School.com / RyanFowlerSOS -7231. Free self-hypnosis course, great community there. Free to join. Go check it out. Try it for yourself. There's actually instructions, self-hypnosis audio. You can start the process, see that this works for yourself. And then when you're ready, talk to one of us and let's get your core belief system upgraded. Let's get any, false core beliefs, subconscious trauma out of you forever. You can do it. And then you're going to see what we know. They've switched things around here, so I'm having problems finding the outro. You'll know what we know, what we've done for ourselves, what we've learned. You can do this. You do have more power than you know. Thanks. That's our show.